I'll be continuing with the cell organelles. Okay, so today I'll be continuing with all the remaining one. I'll be sharing my screen now. Okay, so now is it visible?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
we'll be continuing with the cytoskeleton. So if you remember in like previous days class, we have discussed related to all these various types of this one cell organelles, okay, where we have seen as a mitochondria, it is the main powerhouse of the cell, okay, where all the energy it is being released, synthesized from here. So we have seen endoplasmic reticulum in which we have two types, smooth and rough, okay. When we say rough means there is an attachment of a ribosome, okay. And we have seen about Golgi apparatus, where the main function of this Golgi apparatus, it usually helps in all those exporting of all the proteins, okay, and by forming this secretory vesicles. And again, from the secretory vesicles of the Golgi apparatus, what do we get? We get the lysosomes. Okay, and these lysosomes, the main function is it helps in the breaking down of any fragments of organelles, as well as it helps in killing any type of foreign materials entering inside our body. Okay. So on ribosome, the main function here it is mainly participating in the protein synthesis. So now we will be continuing with the cytoskeleton. So this cytoskeleton, it is usually being distributed all over the cytoplasm. So if you can see from the diagram, so the purple color, it indicates the nucleus, and the remaining yellow and the blue color, so those are your cytoskeletons, okay? And we have different forms of cytoskeletons. So we have the microfilaments, the microtubules, and the cell extension. And if you see what is the main function of the cytoskeleton, mostly it helps in the movements of these cell organelles. Okay, so like we have discussed in the even within the within the cells in the cytoplasm, we have so many cells organelles. Okay, so which helps them in the movement. It is your cytoskeleton. So we'll be seeing one by one. So first is the microfilament. So whenever we say micro, okay, so this is the smallest form of the cytoskeleton. Okay, so it is the smallest fibers, and all these cytoskeleton mostly they are like protein type of fibers. So this, what is the main function of this microfilaments? It helps mostly in providing structural support, maintaining the characteristic shape of the cell, and also it helps in the contractions. Like I've already said yesterday also, like how a muscles, it helps a muscle cells. So for example, in a muscle cells, the muscle is the main part of the body which really helps in movement contraction. Okay, so everything we do, whatever a body movement or contraction of all the various organs, it is usually done with the help of the muscles. Okay, so like that, in those type of muscle cells, which really helps in the contractions, in those type of cells, we have the microfilaments. Okay, and if we say microtubules, these are larger contractile protein fibers that are involved in the movement of what? It helps, firstly, it helps in the movement of the organelles within the cells. Okay, so whenever any movement is required within the cells organelles, so who is performing that? It is with the help of the microtubules. It also helps in the movement of the chromosome. So if you remember cell division, so a chromosome is like from a pair of chromosome, how from there again the cells will divide at the center or the centromere, okay, and from there we have the process of cell division takes place. So it also helps in the cells extension. Okay, so we will be seeing that later. So just remember the main function of the microfilament, it is mainly in the provision of the support of the cells, as well as it is mainly seen in those type of cells where it needs the function of, where it requires the function as like contraction and all those. And microtubules, we are mostly seeing it for the movement of the organelles, the chromosome during cell division and cell extension. Overall, the main function of the cytoskeletons, as it is being described in the previous slides also, so the main function of the cytoskeleton is the movement. Okay, so the next is the centrosome. Okay, so if you remember, yesterday also I have said Like this centrosome, it is usually present in this, it is a pair of centroles which is present in each cells during the process of cell division. So it acts as a center, which really helps, so with the help of this centrosome, so a cells, it will divide, okay? And each centrole has got two cylindrical bodies which is placed at right angle to each other, okay? And this centrosome also, it plays a very important role during cell division. So whenever a cells divide, so it is like it acts as a junction where the cells will separate, okay? So the next is your cell extension. So these project from the plasma membranes in some types of cells, and their main components are the microtubules, which allows the movements. And within the cell's extension also, we have different types of cell extension. The first is the cilia, okay? So the cilia, when do we call a cilia? It is has an hair-like projection, okay? So this, if you view it under a microscope, you'll be seeing a hair-like projections, and it contains the microtubules. Okay, like I've said, the microtubules also, these all helps in the movement, okay? And these, it lies along the border of some cells. And what is the main function of this cilia? It helps in moving some substances along the surface. Like for example, a mucus upwards, how a mucus it is being move, okay, upward in the respiratory tract. So like that, for example, if any excessive this one sputum or excessive mucus production, if it's there inside the lungs, that needs to be excreted out, right? So how it is done, it is mainly with help of the cilia. So the cilia, it will helps in the upward movement of the mucus, and with that it will, we are going to spit it out or excrete it from our throat, okay, or from our mouth, okay, or even through our nose. So this is how a cilia functions. So this cilia, remember, it is a hair like projection, okay? And what does it helps? It helps in the movement. So it helps in the movement of the any type of substances along the surface. And the next type we have is the microvilli. So this figure, if you see here, the diagram, these are the microvilli, okay? So this microvilli, where it is mostly seen, so this is mostly seen inside your intestine, okay? So these are like tiny projections that they contain what? They contain the microfilaments, okay? And they cover the surface of certain types of cells. For example, is your absorptive cells that line the small intestines, and their function is usually in maximizing the absorption of nutrients from the small intestine. Okay, so this microvilli, if you see from the diagram itself, so this, it is mostly seen in the all types of cells. It's mostly seen inside the intestine, and this it is usually helps in the absorption, okay, whenever we eat anything. So whenever we digest, whenever during the process of digestion, some form of absorption is also there, where our body will absorb some form of nutrients, okay, whatever it is required. So all who used to do that, that is usually done by the microvilli, okay? And the flagella are single long whip like projections containing the microtubules, which form the tails of a spermatozoa. Okay, so this spermatozoa, it is the sperm cells. Okay, so how does it help the sperm cells during the process of reproduction? Okay, so it helps in the movement of the sperms towards the ova. Only if, then only when the sperms and the ova fuse together, then only fertilization takes place, right? So for the movement of these spermatozoa or the sperm cells, so this, it is usually done with the help of the flagella. And the flagella, it is a whip-like projection. That means it is like a tail, okay? And it contains a microtubules, okay? So these are, what is it, in the cytoskeletons, okay? So just remember, in the cytoskeleton, mostly we have this microfilaments and the microtubules. And under the cell extension also, we have three types. We have the cilia, we have the microvilli, and the flagella. Okay, the cilia, it is the microtubules, and they are mostly helps in moving the substance along the surface. Like for example, here they have given how mucus from inside a respiratory tract, how it is being pushed up, who have been, that it is the cilia, okay? And the microvilli, these are mostly seen in the small intestine, and they contain what? They contain the microfilaments. And the next is your flagella, okay? And these flagella, they are web-like projections. So these, they helps in the movement of the sperm cells during the process of fertilization, okay? So are you clear with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll move on with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
last, okay, which is, if you remember, in the cells, we have, I have said we have three part. okay, the plasma membranes, then the cell organelles and the nucleus. Okay, so we'll be seeing with the last part of the cells. So this nucleus, it is actually the largest organelle which is seen in any type of cell. Okay, even from the diagram itself, if you see, okay, when the first diagram, if you still remember that I've shown you, even from there also you'll be able to see that the nucleus is the largest organelle. Okay, among all the organelle which is present inside the cytoplasm, so the nucleus, it is the largest. Okay, and the nucleus, it contains the body genetics material which direct all the metabolic activities of the cells. So this, if you, I think this also you have, you know, only we have a total of 23 pairs of chromosome, or 46 in numbers, and all this, it is where it is usually present, all this DNA. So it is usually present in the nucleus. So that's why the nucleus is a very important part of the cells, okay, which contains all the DNA. It consists of a nuclear membrane surrounding the nucleoplasm, and this nucleolus, it is suspended in the nucleoplasm. I'll show you the diagram of a nucleus. So likewise, how we in a cell also we have a nuclear envelope or a plasma membranes. So within the nucleus itself also, they also have their own envelope or the covering, which is called as the nuclear envelope. Okay, and this pores, what is this nuclear pore? This nuclear pore, it helps in the transport of the any DNA material or anything which is required. Okay, and the nucleolus. So the nucleolus, you can see from the diagram itself, it is at the center of the nucleus, and within the nucleolus we have all the DNA. Okay, so DNA, where it is being present in the nucleolus. Okay, and we have the nucleoplasm. Like we have in a cell, we have a cytoplasm. Similarly, here also we have a nucleoplasm. Okay, and after that we have a chromatin. Those thread-like structures, so those are called as a chromatin. So this is the microscopic structure of a nucleus. So under the nucleus, it have a nuclear envelope, okay, which acts as a covering. Then we have the nuclear pore, which helps in the transportation, and the nucleolus, which is at the center of the nucleus, and within the nucleolus we have the DNA. Okay, then we also have the nucleoplasm, just like how we have cytoplasm in a cell. So within the nucleus itself, it also have a nucleoplasm. Then those threads-like structure, those are called as the chromatin. So we'll be seeing the explanation of these. So what is a nuclear membrane? So here also it is a double membrane bound structure, and it consists of pores which regulate the exchange of metabolites between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Okay, so if any metabolites or anything which needs to be exchanged, how it is done? It is mainly done to the nuclear pore. Okay, that nuclear pore, if you can see from the diagram, which is there in the nuclear envelope. And the nucleoplasm, so it is a gel substance containing the genetic material. It also contains threads-like structure, which is called as the chromatin. Okay, so those thread-like structure, those are called as the chromatin. Then the nucleolus, it is a cells which is involved with active protein synthesis, and it having one or more nucleoli in the nucleoplasm, and the ribosomal RNA is being transcribed in the nucleolus. Okay, RNA, DNA, all those are being enclosed in the nucleolus. Okay, so this is actually the main component of a nucleus. Okay, it is the largest organelle, and it also contains the DNA. And the main structure, if you come to the structure, it have a nuclear membrane or the nuclear envelope with a nuclear pore. Then it has got a nucleolus, which is present at the center. Then the nucleoplasm. Then within the nucleoplasm, all this chromatin, it is being present, thread-like structure. Okay, so this is about your nucleus. Okay, so with this, we complete with the structure and function of the cells. Okay, so these are the various structures. Okay, starting from the beginning, we have started with the cytoplasm, okay, plasma membrane. Then we have seen with all this, okay, cytoplasm, and within the cytoplasm we have discussed all these organelles. Okay, then the last part is your nucleus. Any question? Yes, anyone have any question? No question. Are you clear with this? This is very important. Okay, cell, and every one of you have to draw. Like I've already told you, please you note down all the notes in your copy, and you have to draw the structure of a cell. Okay, the first diagram that I gave, all of you have to draw that. Any question? Okay, somebody have question on flagella. Okay, so what is a flagella? Okay, so this flagella actually it is mostly seen in what type of cells? It is mostly seen in the sperm cells. Okay, so why it is? It helps in the movement of the sperm cells inside the reproductive tract. So because in the reproductive tract only when the and for the process of fertilization to happen now, so this flagella it is mainly okay. So this is it is a single long whip-like projection. So and this what does it contain? It contains this microtubules. So this actually it is like it forms a tails of a spermatozoa. Okay, spermatozoa means a sperm cells. Okay, and this what does it? Why it is needed? It is needed for the process of fertilization. So for the sperm to be enabled the sperm in order to move inside the female reproductive tract. So with the help of this flagella only, it will help that it its movement. Okay. Any other question? You can drop in the chat box or you can unmute yourself. Yes? Are you clear with the parts of the cell? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Others? No response?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So please you go through again and you draw the diagram and remember, okay? Because all of you have to remember what are the different types of parts of the cells. Okay, Chainika, you have any question? You're raising your hand.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I hope everyone is clear. If you still have any question, you can ask. Okay, time is there. Huh? No.
Ma'am, can you explain again microtubule?
Okay, related to the transport, I think I will teach you in the next class. Okay, so this transport of substance is, if you remember, in the first class also, I've talked about plasma membrane, right? So how the plasma membranes, it is a semi-permeable membrane. That means it allows only some selective substances to cross through their membranes. So in this transport also, actually, we have two types. We have the active and the passive. Okay, so this I'll discuss in the next class. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, I will wind up the class. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.